Well, hey, and welcome everybody to my very first impressions video on My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic, Season 5. This first thought is entirely unscripted, unorganized, literally just me doing it right after I got done watching the episode. So if it seems a little scatterbrained or I pause a lot, please don't get overly bored or anything. It's just my brain trying to get the cogs back in gear, because there's a lot to think about all at once. So, okay, first thoughts. I made absolutely sure not to watch or look at any spoilers for this episode. The most I saw was an image of Twilight with Lemon Hearts, Minuet, and Twinkleshine. That was the most I saw. I thought it was a fan-made thing, to be completely honest here. I saw it, I'm like, oh, it's a very good fan-made project. Then I see that it's a thumbnail for the whole video, and I'm like, oh, that's real. Okay, so first thoughts. In terms of a Twilight Sparkle-centered episode, it usually either falls flat or it's very good and thought-provoking. I've yet to really see a bad Twilight Sparkle episode, apart from maybe possibly less than zero, and maybe even kinda, sorta, slightly, possibly Magical Mystery Cure. I mean, I'm still really debating upon whether I like that one or not, but that is a topic for another time, because right now we're talking about Amending Fences. In a way, this episode was sort of like, I almost want to say it's kind of like a callback to the first episode, as well as I guess you could say, like, spiritual-ish sequel to maybe the 100th episode, because it's introducing more background characters that we've seen before, giving them backstory, giving them depth and character, and it's pretty obvious that they're going to bring these characters back at some point, maybe later in the season, or possibly even in the next season. And again, unfortunately, we get more of Spike being the backseat driver, which is kind of an improvement, because more often than not, they just have him running alongside the car. He himself didn't really act upon anything much other than the beginning of the episode, and even then they had him immediately not self-loathing, they immediately had him regret saying anything. Like, he was basically saying, oh, he literally even himself said, oh, me, my big mouth, like, oh, my opinion got me in trouble again. It's like, it didn't get you in trouble because your opinion is helping your friend actively go out and reestablish friendships, which is a good thing. I don't know why the writers thought that having Spike, trot on his own parade, or raid on his own parade, was the right way to go, but then again, they seem to like having Spike be the doormat of the series, unfortunately. In terms of the overall theme and moral for the episode, I thought it was good. I mean, if anything, it was above average. I'm not giving it enough credit there. It wasn't phenomenally outstanding, but it's definitely one I'm going to be thinking about for a while, because of its moral. In a way, it's kind of actually similar to how Make New Friends but Keep Discord went about with their moral. Somebody goes off and makes a bunch of new friends, or makes a new friend, singular. The old friend gets jealous or forgotten or left behind, or is just, left alone, and eventually the group reconciles, and the old friends are now, the bridges are reestablished between old friends, which again is something that I can definitely believe because I've seen it in person. It's normal. I mean, we've definitely had that moment where you've had a friend, or you are that friend who is moving out to a different town. You go to that new town, you make a bunch of new friends, and then you decide after a few years, hey, I want to go back and visit the town I grew up in with my old friends, and, rebuild bridges. And you go back, and for many of your friends, nothing has changed, but for a select few, or even more than that, you can see a very, very either positive change or negative change. Hopefully positive. But in this case, it was pretty negative. And this was actually the lesson I was kind of expecting to come out of Party Pooped. I mean, the lesson in Party Pooped was pretty obvious, so I called that one right away. But I also put this one, immediately after that. And I was expecting it to be that despite your best efforts, you just can't expect to be friends with everybody. There are always going to be those few people who you can never appeal to. And that's not your fault. It's actually really nobody's fault. It's just that your interests don't meet in that way. And if the episode had gone that route, I would have been very pleasantly surprised, because I would have been like, oh, they're actually maturing up with these morals. And not that I'm saying this moral isn't mature, but I'm saying it would have been a couple of steps up from the usual moral that they give. And the episode does end off with a happy ending. Old friends rebuild bridges. Everybody has a party. A bunch of new ponies are introduced that don't really have a backstory, but there's definitely going to be fan art of them and headcanon. And we leave off with a nostalgic look back at an old photo of the gang, or of the Canterlot gang and Twilight, back when they were, still in school. Couple of interesting things that I noticed with this particular episode. Well, I mean, this episode, and actually, ironically enough, make new friends, but keep Discord as well. I mean, this may just be, this literally is nothing. I don't expect anything to come from this, but I noticed it, and I'm like, it got really distracting. They're expanding on mare designs. And I say that like it's a very minute thing, something that you probably didn't notice. I mean, if you did, then congratulations, you have just as bad ADD as I do. But I noticed that both Moon Dancer and Tree Hugger have thicker eyebrows than most mares do in the series. And again, this is positively nothing of importance. I just noticed it, and I'm like, the entire time, does nobody else see this? Is this like not a thing for anybody? Again, it's expansion. They're changing up how they're designing their mares, which is, again, interesting. Oh yeah, and most people aren't going to like it when I say this, but it needs to be said. Pinky had very little to nothing to do with this episode. I mean, they literally just brought her in to organize a party. Not that hard to organize a party. I mean, especially one that's as small as it was in the episode. They had Minuet go with Pinky to go and get party supplies. Minuet could have just easily gone and done that herself. It would have shown how much more dependable she was, instead of having the party planning pony of Ponyville just thrown in for a couple of cameo shots. And for a moral like this, I mean, I'm glad they went with Twilight. It makes sense for Twilight to go about doing this task as well. But I was kind of expecting something along the lines of Rainbow Dash for something like this, because prior to giving up her element, she was the element of loyalty, which meant loyalty to friends, and at the same time that means keeping up with friends and making sure that they're safe. This would have been a great way to, or this could have been a great way to reestablish that, or, phone that in. I mean, that's just what I think, but I don't know. I think Rainbow Dash may have been possibly better suited for something like this. Well, I mean, that's really all about I can say and think about for this particular episode. I'm sure there's more that's, brewing up in the noggin, but I'm tapped out at the moment. So, eventually gonna do a episode review about this, but that'll be like season 6 or season 7 because that's gonna take me forever to get up to current gen, not current gen, but current season. Um, so yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. This has been Gear Grinder, and I pick apart plots for your pleasure. Have a good day.